Birdwatchers visiting Caleishal and Clonanese might be surprised to see a flock of racing pigeons circling the skies above the townland of Cranlum. If they keep watching, their eyes will be drawn to this house high up on the wooded hill, for it's here that the pigeons will alight. They are homing pigeons after all, and this is their home. It's also the home and the clinic of Francis and Geraldine Scullion, whose veterinary services for birds is at the cutting edge of research and treatment of all ailments that affect our feathered friends. They live deep in the Tyrone countryside, but their scientific expertise, not only in pigeons but in exotic animals and even fish, is acknowledged and sought out in all corners of the world. Serious pigeon fanciers who invest heavily in racing birds need to know how to get the best performance out of them, and this is where Francis and Geraldine come in. They can diagnose problems and apply treatments, a lot of it based on observation and research on their own flock.
Most pigeons would have a variety of organisms, bacteria, viruses, protozoa, and endoparasites like worms.
Right.
And these parasites and other organisms can cause them health problems at certain stages in their life.
Right.
But they live with the population of pigeons.
If you have a lot of pigeons, you're going to have these parasites and worms and things like that. Is that inevitable?
Yes,
is it?
They'll be there as part of the population. So they're normal organisms that live with the birds, and on occasions will cause them disease problems.
Right.
Diseases will occur in most populations related to environmental changes like weather and season and things like that there. And so those are called stress factors.
Right.
And anything is a stress factor really. As much as just keeping birds together could be a stress factor.
Right.
Breeding birds is a stress factor. So all these things will change the pattern as the year goes on of the numbers of parasites and things, and at some stage maybe they'll cause actual disease that you can see the birds are sick.
I see.
But in most cases with racing pigeons, you still don't notice them sick, but you'll notice in their racing ability.
So it's going to affect their
Yes,
their,
in fact,
fly.
well, if you remember, Seb Coe, I think, was doing a big race in the Olympics, and he had a head cold.
Right.
And he didn't win because of his head cold.
Right.
So a simple thing like that can put an athlete off. And it's the same with the pigeons.
So these would be things that are not necessarily visible. I mean, you would look at the bird and think that's grand and healthy. It looks okay. But it would be affecting it in ways that you can only tell through performance, isn't it?
Yes, it's the performance that affects mainly.
Okay. So when you're looking at for things, are you treating pigeons or are you just screening them to see if I mean...
We do both. Like, a pigeon fancier arrives with, and he tells us birds are sick and some are dying. We can do post-mortems and check out what they've been dying from. If they're sick, we can do clinical examinations. I'll show you what a clinical examination involves, basically, very quickly.
This is just an ordinary stethoscope, yeah?
The same as your doctor will use to listen to your chest.
Right. He doesn't go, that's cold.
No.
So I can listen to the heart. I can listen to the air sacs.
So it's more than just...
And I can listen to the lungs.
Right. And does that sound fairly normal, that bird, at the moment, does he?
Sorry?
Does he sound normal, this bird here?
Yeah, so in birds the main problem would be through their respiratory system, and you can hear noises in their lungs or their air sacs if they're having problems.
Right.
Now, also you can clinically examine them, you can check all their joints right down from their toes, their feet, their knee, their ankles, their hips. You can check both sides, you can check their abdomen, their pelvic bone, chest muscle, breastbone.
So every wee, I mean, obviously these are high performance birds, or they're supposed to be high performance birds. So any wee tiny thing that's off at all is going to definitely affect it, is it the case?
Yes.
Right.
And the more worrying thing is that it's a flock problem, and it's not just, usually you have a team of racing birds, and usually a problem that's affecting the loft will affect the whole team. So that's where you have to treat them as a flock as well.
So they infect each other very quickly, in other words, really?
Well, because they're all held together, same airspace, then that's one problem affect them all.
It's like a classroom of children. If one gets a cold, they nearly all get it, isn't that the case?
Yeah.
This kind of clinical examination can take place if, of course, you have the bird in hand. But this is 21st century veterinary practice, and as often as not, Francis and Geraldine are microscopically examining swabs taken from birds hundreds of miles away and sent in a medium that preserves them.
The fancier can take swabs just with a cotton bud swab in the throat, but we tend to go a wee bit deeper into the crop, which is the first part of the gut.
I'm going to have sympathetic retching in a wee second or two.
But you see, the birds, when they were being reared in the nest, the mother fed them through. Like,
of course, right.
Through her beak, she put her beak into their beak, so they're used to things going right down their throat.
Right.
Not like
that's a natural process.
Okay, so you're taking swabs inside, is that the idea?
Go right down into the crop, which is, you can actually feel the crop here. So a lot of times people maybe will come in saying problems, the birds are crop's very watery, very full of water, and that can be a sign of disease.
Of something as well. I see. I mean, they're actually quite they're lovely wee birds.
They're nice birds, yeah. They don't bite. I mean, if this was a parrot, I wouldn't be holding it. Just as relaxed. With a parrot, you have to really hold their head, hold their beak, because otherwise it could bite right down to the bone. Just take it off.
Of course, it's not just pigeons that the scullions treat. Anything from domestic pets to exotica like monkeys and reptiles. Up here in the screen, for example, is an X-ray of an 8-foot boa constrictor. And if you know what to look for, a pregnant 8-foot boa constrictor. And it's not just the veterinary aspect of pigeon fancying that's gone all high-tech and scientific. The clocks that used to time their flight and which had to be started and stopped by hand have now been replaced by an electronic chip that's fitted to the bird's leg and which registers its time when it passes over this machine. That saves the fancier having to actually catch his bird and physically remove what used to be a rubber band. But however sophisticated and scientific the veterinary side becomes, however high-tech the racing, for many fanciers, including the scullions I suspect, there'll always be something appealing to us humans about the bird itself. Pigeons would have been, am I right in saying this, one of the earliest birds to be domesticated by man? Would that be the case?
I think they were, yes.
Thousands of years back.
Yes. They've been used actually for food. They've been used for, as you know, in the war. They're very useful as messenger pigeons, and some of them, I think they're some of the only animals that have got George medals and equivalent of, yes, because
for bravery.
For bravery, yes, in war.
Right.
So they've got great history, and it's thousands of years ago that people started to domesticate them. And like Jeremy said, they're very nice birds. They're not. There's very little damage they'll try to do to you.
Yes.
The worst they can do is maybe flap a wing and try to slap you.
Even if they had a big beak, they wouldn't use it on you. You tend to think anyway. Yeah. So the ancient practice of breeding pigeons is now greatly enhanced by cutting-edge technology. And here's